That is, it's actually an interesting story. So I came over from South Africa 6 years ago, and I had my own planning company in South Africa. So when I got here, I reached out to a bunch of wedding planning companies, and Pinnacle replied to me. I started working for Pinnacle, and I was happy with that because I knew how to run a business and I knew weddings, but I had to learn the Charleston way. And then 2 years later, I bought the company. I was just like, well, let's just do this. Now I've got 5 full-time planners. I have 4 assist planners, a drone guy, a content creator, furniture flippers, phone booths, photo booths, you name it, I've got it. And that's been amazing for me to have grown from just me to growing this team. So it's been an incredible journey in the growth of my company. I just phoned them. I phoned them, started reaching out to all the venues and calling them and say, hey, can I come and meet you? I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm working for Pinnacle, you know, the normal things. And they were all quite taken aback because I said, planners don't do that. And I still, Kat, to this day, I still do that. I still go and visit them to say hi, because otherwise you're always just working and you're not actually connecting and chatting. And like I said to you, my biggest thing I think that sets us apart is that connecting with people. And so I did that with the venues. And then as far as vendors go, obviously I started meeting them working weddings, super, super friendly to everybody. So to me, and that was something that people commented in the beginning. They would say, you're so nice to all our people, all our workers, everybody. I didn't care who you were. If you were the guys carrying the furniture, I was super friendly to you and nice because that's what you do, you know? Yeah. And you build your name. You build your name by, again, just being pleasant, being nice. Because sometimes the wedding world can get a bit intense and competitive. And I just think if you be nice and just be nice to everybody, people are going to connect with you and they're going to like you. The actual planning, the actual bringing it together. So I find that clients will reach out to us and say, we've done just about everything. We've got all our vendors. We've done everything. They have no idea that getting the vendors is 10% of the planning of the wedding. It's the rest, bringing it together.
They don't know what they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know. And then when they realize, as they start going, and especially when you're going through the website and then you're saying, here's a list of things and this is what you have to do, they almost get shocked because they think, oh, I've got my vendors, I've got my photographer, my DJ, my caterer, I'm done. That is just the start. But it's actual planning and taking them through the process and all the little things that are required. I've had people who have booked me for the partial and 2 months later they go, no, we're switching to complete. We can't do this.
That must happen a lot.
Because they realize what you do for them and what you're giving them. And just our knowledge, you know, our knowledge of the town, how weddings run, the connections, you know, and who are good vendors and who are bad vendors, because that's a lot out there, you know. And we started with you last year, easing in our clients, and now obviously all our clients are straight onto TTO. And I think I was interested in it because I liked the look of it. It had a beautiful presentation. It was very modern, and it was very easy to implement. You know, because some planning websites, it's quite clunky, you know, whereas TTO is not clunky at all. I would say that Vendor Hub, the integration you have with the payments, the budget, and that ability to email each other. So my clients can just tap on my name, email a message, it pops up on my email. I don't have to go into the website. I can reply to them and they can reply to me. But that conversation is being built up on the comment section.
That was built directly from the feedback that we got from planners, which were often getting very lost in emails or in WhatsApps, and they didn't have, it was really difficult for them to find the last communication or the last agreement that was made or the last decision that was made about a certain task or a certain vendor. By having comments that you can write in TTO, and that always is going to send also an email that you can reply and have that comment sync back into TTO, just meant that all the communications were always streamlined. So if you're on TTO in the platform, you have all your comments in one place. But if you're out and about and you're an email, you don't need to be logged into TTO to reply. You can just do it on the go.
Yeah. The thing that I have found very useful to me as a planner and to my clients is that to-do list. I recommend using this a lot. With my clients, and exactly what you put there, you've got that onboarding call. What I do is the upcoming call, I put a call, I put the time, and I put the date. So I find that is my go-to, literally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having to-dos that you can assign just to yourself or to the
Correct.
whole planning team or to everyone, to make it available to everyone, or
Yeah.
assign specific collaborators to tasks,
Yeah.
really does solve for all of the use cases when it comes to making sure that everyone's on the same page. One of my favorite features of this part is being able to also add a video comment or even a voice comment. So that just takes the whole planning personalization to the next level.
That is amazing. I actually did not know that. Kat, you just showed.
There you go.
You've just given me a little lesson. With the vendor hub, what I find extremely useful is, first of all, as you can see, those pictures are added to the specific vendor, which especially for florals and rentals, that kind of stuff, it adds to that. It makes it interesting. It makes it appealing. People do love it. My clients love it because they go, oh, this is so cute. But in fact, as for me as a planner, it makes a very useful tool, because if I've booked a florist, we've put in the florals, we know what it looks like. If you do the rentals with their chairs, their plates, whatever, we add that and it looks like that. Then once you click onto the vendor hub, what we were talking about is, as you can say, you can make it confirmed, declined, or tentative. So it's very, very easy as well. So say I've added 5 vendors and we go through them. It's very easy to just decline, this one's booked. It makes it super easy to work with that. Then obviously all the information is there. We've preloaded that. And then once you get onto and you click on that edit, those where you add the images. And then the payment schedule, that is very, very nice as well. Obviously, we change that to US dollars and we add in all the payment schedules. Those schedules then come up at the top where you click on payments, that pops up. It sends reminders, and then it also appears on your budget line. And so it does again take away the stress that people feel. When do we have to pay things? How much do we owe? Because I often get clients reaching out to me saying, how much do we owe still? Where are we? And I used to have to reach out to them, give them the list. I then say, go to your vendor hub, click on your vendor, and you'll see exactly what's going on. And then obviously clicking onto the budget, they then see where they are on their budget, how much they've paid, how much they're over, etc. And the whole breakdown is there. They can put in their estimates so they see where they're standing, and it's all easy to go from page to page to page. Going on to comments, when you click on the comments, that is incredibly useful. I use it where I will just put in my comments when I've had a discussion with the client. I just put in my own comments there. Then when my clients have to reach out to me or I want to involve the clients, exactly that. You click on their link and you put in the question. It gets emailed to them, or it gets emailed to me. We don't have to go back onto the website. The emails just go with each other, but it's building up on here, as you can see, where Kat's highlighted what she's said, all those things there. That is where you've just been emailing each other, but it integrates into your website. So you've got a good train of what you've been discussing, so that when you come back onto the vendors, you can see what you've been discussing. So it's really, as a planner, the to-do list and this vendor hub stands out above other planning websites. So other planning websites obviously have a timeline. They have maybe on online RSVP. I would say out of everything that you guys have, I mean, I love the timeline. That RSVP, seriously cool, because you can put in the photo, it can look really pretty. And then you can also add in your questions, take away questions you don't want at the time. So I do feel that your RSVP is a step ahead of a lot of RSVPs that we've got. The fact you've added in that starter thing and the meals, the options.
Being that connected to the floor plan now. We're really excited about it.
Yeah. I know. I think your RSVP is very, very good, very nice for my clients and for the guests. Obviously, as you say, when the RSVP comes, it's integrated to the guest list. And then from the guest list, we then can seat the guests correctly at their tables. And especially if it's a plated meal, they then can have the guests seated with the meal. So then when I send it to a catering company, they then work off this because they know exactly where the person is seated, with what meal, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. This was my husband's favorite feature, actually, when we were planning our wedding, was figuring out the seating plan and having an interactive way of doing that.
Yeah. So this makes it super easy, very clear. And you can, and you can type, I type in a lot of things here because just to explain things, because when I'm saying it to vendors, they can then see that and they don't have to ask me more questions because I've added it into the floor plan. Because that text, there we go, the text thing, you put in the text thing, fill it in. So yeah, I would say, linking the whole to your RSVP, e-invite, if they use e-invite, I do find, interestingly enough, that people are starting to use the e-invite more and more. In the beginning, people didn't use e-invite. They wanted the paper invitation. And the advantage of this one is an add a custom-made e-invite, which a lot of my clients do. So they go onto Canva, they design, there we go. They design like a beautiful, that they want. And it even gives a texture of the invitation and they add it in. But I do find that because the postal system isn't as great as it used to be, and a lot of invitations get lost or they arrive late or whatever it may be, people are starting to use the e-invite, I would say, much more this year than last year, for example. And I feel it's going to go more and more. I put it down to the fact that this e-invite is cool because you can change when I take it through and I show them just even on here, the different designs that they can have. People love it. They love it. So I would say your integration that you have, and I think is a step above what I've had in other planning companies, is your guest list, grouping it together, how you get that for your online RSVP, allowing this e-card, allowing people to, find the addresses if they do want to do the paper invitation, and then linking to a website that you can build on here. And that's kind of how I explain it to my clients. And it's very phone friendly, which is very nice because most people are on their phones. So I think being able to change the design of this, change the, being able to add the pictures. As I said, sometimes they've already done a website before they've booked me, but I make them switch over to this one because it makes sense to switch over to this one because your accommodation is part of it, your RSVP is part of it, your, the guest list. I mean, it's just, as I say, your integration between the floor plan, the e-card, the RSVP, and your guest list is very good.
Thank you so much for the feedback. It's obviously music to our ears.
So for me, having switched to TTO, my clients have loved it. And I've actually had clients that were still part of my other website, and they wanted certain things that I knew you guys had and the other one didn't. And we've already been planning for a year on that other website. And I would say, okay, I'm going to show you this new website. If you want to switch, it'll take us a moment. If we help each other, we can switch everything. And I'm talking everything from floor plans to everything, right? And I've shown my clients who have been on the other website, I've shown them your website, and they say, no, we want to switch. That was an indication that if your client was on the old one and you showed them the new one, and then they've gone to the new one and they have 100% said, this is way better. So I feel as a planner, don't close off. Don't go, oh, I'm in my status quo, I'm good. I don't do that. I think you should always grow.
I speak to a big range of planners, and some planners, when they're starting out, might think that they need to wait a couple of years or have an X amount of weddings under their belt before it makes sense for them to use a professional tool like TTO. What would you say to them, or what do you think is important for them to know?
From your first wedding. If you've booked one wedding, you're starting out, you've booked one wedding, you have TTO. Eat the cost, whatever you have to do, I don't care. But you have, because you need your client to see that website, to see that you're professional. So if you're starting and you've booked one wedding, make sure that you have TTO as your website, as your planning website, because that client is then going to tell 10 of her friends that, wow, I had this planner. She had this planning website, it was amazing. And it was so organized. She knew what she was doing. She knew what was talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that small investment can go such a long way in terms of growing your business as you're getting started.
Hands down. I do think it's important. For me, obviously, at the stage my company is, because you obviously do a ton of weddings. I'm sure you've seen a lot of weddings adding in there. But so for me, it's important that I've got this because it's such an organized website. I'm a growing company. I want to keep growing. I don't want to stagnate. I don't want to go, okay. And I think that if a planner goes, well, I'm okay with the weddings I've got, I'm okay with the planning sites I've got, I'm okay with my vendors, you're stagnating. Like for me now, going to Scotland, bringing American people over to Scotland, I've got the TTO. It's going to be so easy to do because it's an international website. It's not just based in America or based in England or based in Europe.
Yeah.
It's international. You
Yeah,
know?
you can do multi-currency on there.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be looking at Tuscany next. So you know what I'm saying? And I know with TTO, it's not going to be hard at all. You know what I mean? It's going to be super easy. So in that aspect, I think it allows you to grow in whatever avenue you want to grow. And if you're a small company, you think, well, I don't need so much. You do. As I said, if you've got 3 weddings in the year, you should have TTO, because your clients should know that you know what you're doing, that they feel comfortable, and you know what you're doing when you're talking about planning.
Well, thanks so much for that feedback. It really warms our hearts, and we're so lucky to be working with planners like you. For anyone that wants to reach out to you, what are your handles and where can they find you online?
The easiest one is just to go onto pinnacleweddings.com, because there you go onto our website. Everything's on there. Pinnacle Weddings on Instagram. You can click on there, but I would say our website is probably the best route to go.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Linda. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you, Kat. It's been lovely getting to know you and loving your website. And thank you for inviting me on this video. I've loved it.